friends. Welcome to Gospel Spirit Mission. This is the official podcast of Kingswood Church in Geneseo, Illinois. And today I am very happy to have our special guests, Joe and Lori Witter, on with us. So Joe and Lori, I just, you've been around here for quite some time, but we always have new people in our church. And so I'm sure there's somebody watching now that has not had the privilege of meeting you. So you just kind of briefly introduce yourselves. Sure. You want to go first, Dave?
Sure. Lori Witter. I grew up in the Cambridge Methodist Church. We were high school sweethearts and
Still are.
We have 2 daughters and live here in Geneseo and have for 20-some years.
It's 93 since we started coming here.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask how long this has been your church home?
Yeah, so we left the Midland metropolis of Eldridge, Illinois, and moved back close to Cambridge in 1993, and that's when we started attending the church here. Prior to that, we were involved in leadership in Cambridge, actually, and so forth. So, yeah, we are high school sweethearts, 5 wonderful grandchildren,
Yeah.
soon to be 5. Soon to be 5. So we've been blessed to be together.
Absolutely.
So Joe and Lori, and you're over 30 years of time here in leadership at Kingswood Church. You have worn a lot of hats and led a lot of different groups and had a lot of leadership opportunities. And so those have included Staff Parish Relations Committee. Joe, you're the chair. Lori, you've served on that. Finance, I think you both have served on Finance, Church Council. I don't know about trustees. Maybe so.
I've avoided trustees.
Avoiding? Smart man. I mentioned they're smart too. The trustees, we love our trustees, and they're doing tremendous work. But you're not too smart, Joe, because you haven't been able to avoid a few extraordinary leadership opportunities. You chaired our building committee back in 2012, and 2014 edition, and maybe even 2011. It was a long stretch and lots of hours, but that was a $4.5 million project that is born to be free. And Lori, you were a part of that by supporting Joe, but now, Lori, you are also on the building committee. So, Joe, we brought you back as chair, which is great continuity for the previous project to what we're dreaming of now. And Lori, you're on the committee as well, so you're kind of team leading, and I love that. So I think there's probably some people that have heard that there is a building committee. There are probably some people that haven't heard there's a building committee. So what is a building committee, and why do we have one now? We don't always have a building committee. So what's up?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And first, let me just say that I think to serve in any capacity of the church, whether it be on a committee or the building team, is an honor, number one, and it's a servanthood type of leadership. It's very honorable to be there. You are correct. I decided to pull out my secret weapon on this round of the building and Lori, just because we do life together, whether it be business or whenever, just we're together. So blessed to have her. I'll try to unwrap where we're at and where we're heading, and make the reference back to the last building cycle, because it's quite a process, and it's a bit. I always say, for me in the business world, we can direct our steps and navigate. We talk. When you get a congregation of a great number of people like we have, we're blessed to have, you have to navigate things a little differently, because at the end of the day, it's not about Joe. It's not about Lori. It's not about Pastor Chris. It's not about any one person within the congregation. It's about us as a group of the body of Christ moving forward. So you can have some speed bumps in those processes, and it's really important to get a foundation under us. So this building cycle, we started last fall. We have elected building committee, and our objective is to build or to bring a plan forward that we feel is palatable, that is the best option. There might be several options, but the best option from cost impact and overall impact to the congregation. And we're in the midst of that. We just kind of went and navigated some waters here, and recently I've hired a architect, BLDD, which is actually the same architect firm that we utilized last time. We settled on them, starting with 10, down to 2, down to the BLD. So it says a lot about the group there. The building team is at the point where the LDD will be coming in and doing some meetings with staff and ministries within the church, as well as the building team, to interview and to flush out any of those things that are important to a building program. What is that? Well, we have a wonderful facility we were able to utilize for a lot of years called His Place, and it's seen its better days. We knew that needed to be retired during the last building cycle. We said it had a 10-year lifespan. I think we're heading to 12 years now. So it's time. So we have a process we're going through. We don't have a plan right now what it's going to be. That's the most important thing. And I want to challenge, I challenge the building team as well as the congregation. We all need to flush, including myself, any preconceived ideas of what we think it should be, because it's what I think it should be. And maybe I think it's a great plan. Well, there might be 600 people that have their own plan, think it's a great plan too. And somewhere in this puzzle, we'll come out with the plan that's best for God's kingdom, so we can move corporately together, not individually, toward a solution. We don't know if it's going to be located at His Place. We don't know what we're doing with that building. We don't know if it's, going to go on the old congregate or north of the church. We just don't know. And if someone does know, they should come tell me, because I don't know. Yeah. So we haven't arrived at that yet. But the building team over the next 4 to 5 months will be working with the architect and subcommittees and developing a plan and present a plan that we feel meets all the points and meets our ministry objective from an economical perspective as well as ministry perspective.
You mentioned last time we did a site plan for the big addition back in 2014, leading up to that, and we said that South Campus has a limited lifespan. And then I think it was 2024 we had Chris Schwartzkopf lead a little group that do some evaluating, because we knew it was either pour more money in or don't pour more money in and plan to retire that. So. I'm always amazed by people in our church that maybe they come on Sunday, they never part of South Campus or to see what's going on over there. Let me just say a word about that. That's that there's 2 buildings pushed together there, and the old one was built, I think it's a livery stable.
Correct.
Geneseo. So there's pictures from the 1800s. Yeah. That's that brick building, and then there's the larger part of the building. There's 3 levels. There's a basement with a 6-foot ceiling. You don't want it if you think down there. Yeah. There's an upstairs that's been have a storage function, and that's not usable ministry space. It's storage space, and we have a lot of leaks, and there's tubs and tarps and all kinds of stuff up there because it's an older building, and we've had to rebuild the north wall, and we've had to jack up some sagging floors over the years. And so there's the room, His Place, as you said, that's got a multi-purpose kind of coffee shop. Mainly a youth ministry space, but lots of Bible studies, alpha course. There's a big room that has been called the Rock, and over the years, and that's a kind of worship space for the youth, but also a large room for like the men's dinners and other things. Mm-hmm. There's a kitchen, 2 kitchens over there. There's a couple of classrooms. There's storage for some of our ministries, Backpack Blessings and Operation Christmas Child. We've got 2 church vans parked over there. So there's a lot. Wow. It's a very used building, but we use the thunder out of that building. I mean, it really is. I think we melt everything, all the ministry value we can get out of that space. So, Chris, just to kind of give some of that history, Chris Schwartzkopf led a team. We asked him, do we put money in or no more money in? And they did a thorough evaluation and said, we don't need to put any money into the current South Campus. So, and that's led to the question, okay, are we going to have a new South Campus, or are we going to build on to main campus?
Yeah.
And the 3-word answer to that question is
We don't know. But we will.
Yeah, we will. We will know.
Yeah, if I could add just a little bit to that, we have several sub teams that come out of our building team. That's a great way to function. And Evan Sam's led a group of identifying, because a lot of people don't know what all happens in that building. And I think when you look at that Excel sheet and you go down the list, 3 pages, whatever it is, Lori, you served on that team. It's extensive.
Yeah.
And it's a vital part of what we do here. And we need to ensure that we not only have a contingency plan should we need to shut that down tomorrow, for example. It's not the case, but we do have a contingency plan in place that's been done. But we also were able to identify with the architect, these are our needs. And by the way, we got some other future needs we'd love to entertain that we can't currently. How does that fit into this plan?
Yeah.
So that's, So Evan's team, and thank you, Lord, for serving on that, really looked at what if, what are we going to do if South Campus becomes unusable?
Yeah.
What is going to be the temporary measures we take to move ministry over to main campus. So there's been a lot of work on an architect selection. Now, Carson Durham has been our lead architect, and he's coming to see us in June, right? There's been some big stuff.
He is. Yep.
So we have, we've identified the primary users of the South Campus as far as ministry goes. So there's the outreach ministries that have that storage and functional space to do their work. And then we have, of course, youth ministry. That's probably been the primary youth student ministry has probably been the primary function of South Campus.
Yeah.
It's known as our youth building.
Correct.
We use it for a lot more. Discipleship ministries, women's ministries, men's ministries. Also, we're involving children's ministry because if you make changes over at main campus, it's going to impact children's ministry space. So what are those conversations going to look like? He's going to come and meet with a lot of people and do all this.
Yeah. Part of a successful building program, again, when you think of a corporate site thing, is you have to have buy-in. And when you get buy-in, when people feel they've been heard and that their concerns have been heard, and they actually see that play out within the building program. So we want ownership, right? Because again, it's not about me or Lori or you. It's not one individual. It's a corporate ownership. They need that support. So Carson, typically what he does, he's very good at it, is we will sit down and do interviews. He's got a laundry list of questions he'll ask each ministry team, and we'll flush out those things that are important. We'll listen. We'll document. There's a lot of notes taken with him and his team. Once those are complete, first the building team's going to meet with him, and then we got a full day schedule in a couple days. That's June 23rd to 25th, by the way. He'll go back. A month later, he'll show up to the building team and say, I've listened, I've documented, this is a thought or two. He'll bring back 2 or 3 concepts to the building team and say, I think this is where you all are heading, if I'm hearing everything. And then we'll critique it. And he'll go back and he'll adjust again. And we do that back and forth over a 3 or 4 month period where we settle on a couple very viable options later this year that we can study and take to leadership and say, hey, we think this is what we need to do to meet these needs, and here's what it can be. By the way, this is a budgetary type look at what it would take to get this done.
Yeah, ultimately it comes down to price per square foot, calculation.
It does.
Now we've got a lot of square footage, and you may have that number in your head. I don't have it in my head. South Campus, but a lot of it is storage only or non-usable because it's the basement. And there's some inefficiencies in South Campus, like 2 kitchens. If you were starting over, you could design a space a lot more efficiently. So he may come back with, I think you need, I'm just pulling numbers out.
Sure.
You need 4,000 square feet, and it's going to include this kind of space, this kind of space. It'll be kind of a big circle on a map, kind of building. It's something over here. That's kind of where it starts, right? And then it starts focusing in more and more detail until you finally get to detail architectural drawings. This wire runs to this, and all of those schematic type things actually build the building. It kind of just starts with big circles, right?
Yeah.
So, when we say we don't know whether it's going to be, south north of our main campus, that is 100%. Like I could argue both sides of that myself.
Yeah.
You know,
We all could. Yeah.
so,
Sure.
you know, South Campus has been, it's like church, but not church. It's been kind of an outreach type of building over there. It's kind of been nice to have a separate space for that right there on State Street. There's been some cool opportunities. You know, and if South Campus wasn't there, you think, okay, well, we have more parking, but with the church parking or tavern parking or what would that be?
Yeah.
You know?
Correct.
But then if it wasn't there, I'm going to argue, debating myself.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, then if it wasn't there, maybe have a greater line of sight to the main building. You are visible. With the pavilion, Central Park Pavilion, when we're having youth group on Wednesday night, they're also running kind of loud concerts and drinking type of things. And it's not the greatest the thing to have next door when you're doing youth crew. And then, you know, there's more multi-use possibilities if it's connected to our building. We need large meeting space for bigger groups, you know, 30, 40 people to get together and to have it all right, you know. So I could argue both sides of this.
Sure.
I think I'm a flip of a coin right now. This isn't like somebody's driving an agenda secretly and trying to process. And it's really, we need an architect, don't we? We really need that.
Yeah, I think a mistake a lot of for building programs like this can be is say we don't need this or that. And I think again, we all view things from our own world. Like I may have an expertise in a given area, so maybe I don't need to do that. But corporately as a church, we may not have that expertise. And what we want to end up with is the best value of product at the end of the day that not only serves us today, but we have room, as we've done on the last building cycle, that's proven very well that we have flex space and that we can accommodate without adding on or construction or more cost. We can function in the future in the space because we have flexibility. We have options. The overflow area coming out of the sanctuary, you know, that's why we have the accordion doors. It was right easier. Yeah. And we want people to be connected to the main. At times it'd be a bit big space if that was all, you know, one area. So flex space, building for the future for what could be. And that's not wasted square footage. That's just a smart use of what we need to do anyway. And then it opens up opportunities for other ministries that we feel passionate about that we can actually impact and draw people to Jesus.
So as far as the congregation goes, you mentioned the timeline a little bit here. Parsons going to come meet with ministries, with our staff team, the building team, really assess the kinds of spaces that we create. He's going to go away and do his magic, and then he's going to come back with some ideas, and that's eventually going to turn into some elevation. I pictured like conceptual drawings and things, and so that will ultimately report back to our church council, right?
Correct.
To say, okay, here's what we're thinking, and some dialogue about that. But at some point, we're going to turn to the congregation, right, and say, hey, now the church council thinks we're on the right track here. The building team has come to some conclusions. We've got some renderings, some concepts, and then ultimately it's going to be a much larger conversation with the congregation and say, here's what we're thinking, and here's what the price tag is, and here's what this is going to be. And so this isn't like the only report. This is just like the post report for
it's you're great point, Pastor. I think if I was talking to the congregation, which I hope we are a little bit here, so I would say please be patient, and for those who want to jump to the end conclusion, be patient. We don't have a set agenda in terms of this is what it's going to be and what it's going to cost. We're going to walk into this because what goes into those costs when you have square footage, you got to realize there's codes involved. You got to have certain size bathrooms, certain size parking. So there's a lot more that goes into this than building a garage in the backyard. So it would be irresponsible for us as a building team to not communicate through this process. And one of the things we will do, as we did last time, and try to be very effective with it, is to bring the congregation along with us to the best of our ability. So as we learn, we teach and communicate. There is nothing going on. There's no decisions been made. There's no money spent outside of hiring an architect to do some very diligent work that we need. So we owe it to them to communicate and listen and talk. And if you remember last time, I had some blogging done on some things. I had some, we got up as a team and talked to the congregation for a question and answer. Those are just really key things to keep people informed. But I, again, would caution anybody, don't come to any conclusion because you're head of the building team if you have.
We're at the early phases, and a big project, it takes a lot of conversation. So what would you say to somebody that says, well, we just, why don't we just put a Morton building over there? Take South Afghanistan, put a Morton building. What would you say to somebody that just says, well, why don't we just do that?
Yeah. One of the conversations that I had with BLDE was, hey, listen, we're going to design this thing, but if in fact it ends up being where his place is, let's just say it does. We don't know that, but let's say it does. We know that we should probably look at options that we can be viable. So they would design it accordingly, but we would maybe potentially bring in a mortar building, somewhat of high quality, it's post frame foundation type work that maybe we could lessen the square footage price, but yet meets our objective, right? We did the church. We want an A+ type finish. This is the where we meet and worship. We want this to be, we can still hit a pretty high level with other types of construction, save price per square foot, and hit all of our dots and not sacrifice quality. So the architect knows you must do this, but we may change that design foundationally or structure wise. But in other words, we're more concerned about what's inside.
So just because we hired an architect doesn't mean that's off the table.
Correct.
That's still an option. It's a live option.
We would still need an architect regardless.
Yeah. We still need to know. So, okay. And I just want to go back to the site plan that was developed probably 2012.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah. So we looked at when we decided to do a major building project. Obviously, the question was, are we going to have enough square footage around us, enough property to grow? And we are a growing church, and that's continued to grow, and that's been a beautiful thing. That had multiple phases, and I think the next phase was off to the north of the coffee bar, right? That was like the next phase on the master plan. But we're revisiting that, right? Just because it's several years old now, and our needs changed, and so what we thought, might have been a great way forward back in 2011. That we need to take a fresh look at all that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Pastor. We must realize that anything we do north of the building, the cost per square footage is going to be different than the maybe off building. The cost per square footage too, something with where we're sitting in the old sanctuary is going to have a different price point. So we need to kind of be sensitive to that. And the reason we did a master plan was really important. Why would we spend $4.5 million to put a sanctuary here that's beautiful and then be landlocked?
Yeah.
Or not have the ability to expand in the future. At that point, we would say, hey, we just need to find new locations so we're not landlocked and putting all that money in something that we can't roll back to growing in the future. So we have tremendous opportunity here. The thing that we need to remember as a congregation, we are so blessed to have his place. If we didn't have that real estate, we would want it.
Yeah.
From either a parking or a building. If we didn't have the real estate to the north, we would want it. So sometimes we need to count our blessings and realize what gift we've been given and then be good stewards of that going forward and maximize wherever we build, whether it's north, west, south, is maximize that and be good stewards and let the Lord open and close doors and let's see where this comes to. Yeah.
And if I am not mistaken, BLDD has agreed to review that plan as part of.
Another good point. We put in our verbiage that we want the master plan revisited. Not that we're going to redo the master plans. That's a whole nother level of pricing, but we want our eyes on the master plan. And of course, we're familiar with us. Hey, what's changed in 11, 12 years? And kind of, same with them. Don't have any preconceived ideas just because we know this building is faltering in the south. So, and they'll be good at doing that. They will bring the best solution forward because this is a space that they live in. They live in this type of building space. So real excited to see what comes back and how the team navigates that.
And Lori, we're, I would try to be good neighbors in Geneseo, so we're going to cook something that's attractive to the community.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And we'll all have an eye on that. But, we're a praying church. I'm going to put this to Lori, like, how could our church family be praying about the building project? What are some of the themes that would be important for our church as far as praying over this process?
I think praying for open hearts. I think it's a great opportunity to build faith. Just to have the faith that God's plan is going to come to fruition through all this. Each building team member, I'm sure, would appreciate prayer and just discernment and wisdom as we make these important decisions. They're going to bring us several options, and we love that discernment to go the right way.
Gift of discernment.
Yeah.
That is it's a spiritual gift, right? The Bible lists that as what your comment just now prompted me. It's probably time to share the names of our building team again. We've shared it before, but watch the Tuesday email for that. And then I'll also drop an email where if somebody has a question or something they're concerned about, they get, send a question to the building team for sure.
That's a great idea.
So we'd love to, if somebody's got some thoughts or ideas or whatever, I think we're wide open, right?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
for sure.
Very good. And they can certainly pray over that architect meeting coming up on the 23rd.
23rd with the building team, and then on 25th during the afternoon, the whole afternoon, with the staff and other ministries.
So basically, doing like focus groups with lots of different groups, and that use the space or potentially would use the new space. So very good. Well, thank you so much for being that. This is like a fourth episode of Gospel Spirit Mission. You have been on the list since the very beginning. When I talk to, I think you might have been the first on the list. It took us a while.
Didn't work out.
Well,
Yeah.
We knew the scheduling would be, we'd have to find you then because you divide your time not being here in Florida, right?
And the group visiting grandkids, and we're blessed to be able to do that, and thankful, and all the above. But we still have a heart for serving, because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, there's very few things that matter, and we feel that our church family matters, and that ministry matters, and that if we can have an impact through a building program or anything on others that wouldn't otherwise be impacted, that's a really good thing.
Yeah, man. Well, friends, good things are happening in Geneseo, Illinois, at Kingswood Church. And I want to thank Lonnie Couture, who's behind the camera today, being our executive producer of this podcast. So always appreciate his work as well. Joe and Lori, thank you once again.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.